So thank you for asking me this question of the global pandemic. Global pandemic has been quite challenging, as you can see, because it came without any warning, and this is the current generation has not faced anything of this size or calamity. Maybe the tsunami was probably something equivalent, but that stayed for a period of 24 hours or 48 hours, and we faced the consequences after. But the whole world didn't face it, only a certain segment. But in this case, it's truly global. It touched every single country on the planet. So coming to Sri Lanka, given all the unknowns, I think I should speak as of today than when it started, because looking back, I think we are in much better position than when we started. So I want to give credit to everyone, including the government of Sri Lanka and the private sector, the health sector, everybody. We had our disagreements, we had our unknowns, but we have all come together in managing it, understanding it, and the way forward on how to handle this going forward. So, short answer, I think we have done reasonably well. I don't think we can give a pat on our back and said we did great, but look at how we are today. We are better off than looking at some of the other nations who are still struggling. So my opinion on, let me talk about the greater economy, okay? While the import restriction is one part of how to handle. See, Sri Lanka gets most of its foreign exchange from 2 or 3 sources. One is from our tourism sector, second is from our remittances, third is from our exports. 2 of this has dried up because of this pandemic, and it is no fault of anybody. I mean, tourism, it's no fault of anybody, it has dried up. Remittances has also slowed down because a lot of the people who were working overseas had to come back during the pandemic. Now, in a situation like this, how does one control the outflow? All right, so there are no magical solutions for this. Right, so the government took a decision to control and save the foreign currency by placing import restrictions. That is why we have survived up to now. We have food on our table and we can move forward. Is this healthy? I don't think so, but we need to move forward, and so that's why they have worked on getting tourism back. That's why the vaccination has taken place. You can see tourism coming back to normal. There is a greater thrust on the export. We have exported more than ever before in the last year. So it's, working on. If I was Europe, yes, I will be upset because, we are not buying. We are expecting them to buy our goods and we are not buying, but we are a small country, right? We have to do what's good for us now. We need to survive first. So we are in this survival program, and it will be released, and I think it will be eased. So we have to understand the consequences, why it's not somebody woke up one morning and said, import is not good for this country, right? Import is definitely, we are a trading nation. We need to trade, right? That's what we know how best to do from our ancestors. This country has been built on trade, and that is, we will continue that. For right now, this has been a good break to get our act together, and we will move forward. And that's what I think about the import restriction. I think from the point of the Ceylon Chamber, we have made it very clear to the government of Sri Lanka that they need to seek assistance from the IMF. We have not hidden it, and we have suggested, we have advised, and we have requested. End of the day, they make the final decision, and I hope they make the right decision. And what we have been advised is that they have better solutions than seeking IMF assistance. So we have once again asked, please tell us what those solutions are and how we are going to avert the crisis. They have a point, because going to IMF means there will be some austerity measures that we have to embrace. And whether we don't know that until we go there. So you can't go and reverse back. So I'm sure these are very experienced people who are in those seats, who are taking these decisions, and they have experience in having gone to IMF in the past. So they know why they don't want to go at this time. And I'm sure everything that you and I know, they also know. And we have made our point clear. Please seek assistance. Please seek technical assistance. Please give confidence to the business community that there is some effort being made. And they have assured us that they are not leaving any stone unturned to make sure that this economic crisis will be averted. So we have to give them a chance. I don't have a magic ball and to give you a quick answer. We have again engaged with the governor of the central bank and requested that one way to increase inflow is to depreciate the currency to what is actually worth, right? And you saw this morning, the central bank is now willing to pay 10 rupees more to every dollar of remittances coming in, which in turn tells me that then if it is 203 today and they're willing to give 10 rupees more, then it's worth 213 or 215. So when that figure gets to the real figure, people will start sending their dollars more in favor, and the exporters also will start bringing the dollars in, because obviously every exporter wants more for their dollar than less, right? So I think that's what needs to be done, and I think eventually it will get there. But remember, everything has two sides to the coin. The moment you do that, all our imports will become that much more expensive. Paying our debt will become that much more expensive for our government. So, it's a balancing act, right? Because we as people, we tell the government, don't tax us too much. We don't want to pay more price for our goods, right? But give us more money for our dollars. So, it's all one way. So we have to find a balance in all these things. Well, I can't speak for the governor of the central bank. I'm not the governor of the central bank, so this is decisions they are making based on obviously some data that they have, right? As long as there is somebody willing to pay unauthorized amounts, people will take advantage of it. So this is a deterrent. I don't encourage anybody to do anything unauthorized. Right? We have to play within the rules of the government, whether we like it or not. Right? There is the government, the country has a law. We first obey the law. We can complain about the law, but we as good citizens, we must first obey the law. Right? So I believe in complying and complaining. First comply, then you complain, and to see how you can go ahead. But I can't comment on the decision that the central bank has made. I hope it's a good decision. I hope it'll work. So we'll live and see it. I think the roadmap was something we needed. We didn't have anything that everybody knew how the government was going to come up and what they're going to do. So this was a very short 6-month roadmap the governor gave the country. And we have asked him to, on a month-on-month basis, give us a progress report. And he has agreed to give a progress report on how they are doing and how the funds are coming in. So again, we asked for a roadmap. The roadmap is given. Now we need to give them time to come up with it. Not every roadmap works, right? Because you try 100 things and maybe few things will work. So we have to wait and see whether this roadmap is working or not. So I think the buyback agreements were done before the current government came in. So I think they're using a different methodologies from what I understand. It's not, the buybacks were done with individual companies, and what the current setup would like to do is to open up those orders to everybody who is there in manufacturing, is what I understand. I'm not sure whether that's the right thing to do, but again, as CCC, what we have asked the government to do is to stay consistent with their policies, and it doesn't matter who's ruling. As private sector, we would require consistency, and we shouldn't be depending on who the rulers are and who is in charge. If a decision is being made, then it should continue until it is discussed and changed. So on this too, we will make the same submissions to them. We will be taking up, and we have taken up, and we are making a written submission to the government on some alternate proposals. And because what's written on the budget is not exactly very clear as to how they are going to implement this. One thing for sure is we are not in favor of retrospective, because the way it is written, this is going to be on the previous year's taxes, and it is not good business practice to go back in time, because those years' financials are closed, companies have given audits, and people have, based on those profits, people have declared dividends. Now to go back and tax those things is not a good practice, because investors will lose confidence, which is something that we have spoken to the Secretary Treasury. We will be speaking to the Honorable Minister and making our submissions. But then again, like I said before, it's 150 billion that they have to collect in terms of these taxes. So while we complain, we also must give them an alternate, right? Because where will the government come up with 150 billion? So we are working with them to seek some alternate way and a fair basis, so that they can raise the 150 billion, and at the same time not to just go after a group of companies or 60 companies or whatever. So that's the plan. We have already mentioned this to the Secretary Treasury, and he has told us that if it is, they will look at the benefits that has gained to the stock exchange and to the companies, and if it is necessary, and if there is a major requirement from the business sector, that they will consider it. Personally, it's worrying. As Sri Lankans, it's a shame that our talent should go somewhere else and make other countries and other people richer than making Sri Lanka richer and better. So again, this is another worry that we have raised, and why this talent migration is happening, because there is lack of opportunity here, lack of stability here, and people feel their lives are better outside. Unfortunately, I personally have lived outside and worked outside. There's no place like Sri Lanka, I can assure you that. Even though it looks a lot greener from here to look outside, homeland is always better. So to those young people, I would like to say, in every country there are difficult times. You can't abandon the ship when it's sinking. You need to be there, you need to support the captain, and you need to sail that course. Right? It's easy to abandon the ship and run away. Easier said, difficult for the youngsters today, but that's my submission. So yeah, I mean, that's what we call experience, right? The meaning of experience is to learn from what has happened in the past and how they have faced those decisions and solutions, and learn from them. And not only learn from them, but also make sure we don't make the same mistakes. And that's again what we call experience, because if we know there is a situation that has taken place and certain mistakes have happened, then today we don't make those same mistakes. So I think that's the way to do it, and we should always look at history, because history has a lot of information, and we should never forget history, because we don't want history to repeat. So my role models has been many, but one role model that I look for on a daily basis is my elder brother, who's built my company, our company, from scratch, worked very hard at it, and did not have the luxuries that we have today. Single-handedly managed a lot of situations. Going back to 1967, as a 20-year-old gentleman, he faced a lot of hardship. If we call today hardship, this is not hardship. And I have learned, heard, and continue to learn how to march through those. He has taught me patience. He has taught me leadership. He has taught me courage. So that's the role model that I look for every day. Say to the people of Sri Lanka, don't give up. This is not the end. We have gone through many such crises, and we will continue to have crises. We are better than this, and we need to face the consequences and support each other in a time of crisis, and try to be better.